Today, I'm going to show you how to use hue saturation in Photoshop. Hey guys, and welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace, and you can find me on Phlearn.com, where we make learning Photoshop and photography fun. And today's episode is for you beginners out there. We're going to show you how to use the hue saturation dialog. Now, it's a simple tool, but there are a lot of options that come in handy when using hue saturation. We're going to show you how to edit colors globally, as well as how to pick specific colors and just change those. We'll also show you the colorize feature, as well as a couple ways to show you how to adjust color without using hue saturation. All right, guys, let's jump into Photoshop. We got an awesome image from adobestock.com. Now, there are a lot of ways to adjust colors using hue saturation. On your background layer, if you go to Image, down here Adjustments, and then go to Hue Saturation, you'll notice you are able to change your hue saturation here in this dialog box. Let's go ahead and change it, and then I'm going to hit OK. Now, you'll notice if I went that route, Image, Adjustments, and then down to Hue Saturation, it did make the change that we wanted, but it's applied to our background layer, which means I don't have a ton of options later if I wanted to change this color again, like let's say in 10 minutes, I wanted to change that color. It's already applied to this layer. So that's actually not what I prefer. So I'm gonna hit Command Z to undo that. And instead of going up there, we're gonna use an adjustment layer. So our adjustment layers are located right down here. It looks like a circle, half of it's dark, half of it's light. Let's click there, and then I'm gonna go down to hue saturation. Okay. Now, you can see I was able to make that same change using the hue saturation, but instead of applying it directly onto the layer, it created a new layer for our hue saturation. And that's the way adjustment layer works. They're really handy when it comes to changing colors in Photoshop. So let's go ahead and turn that on and take a look at some of the options that we have within hue saturation. All right, guys, so by default, your hue saturation is gonna adjust all the colors in your image. Let's grab a hue slider here, and I'm just gonna click and drag this to the left, and we can see all of the colors in our image are eventually going to change. What started out as green chameleon is now looking purple, and even inside here, it started out as a different color, started out blue, but it is going to change as we adjust our hue. Now, the same thing is true with saturation. Saturation is how much color you actually have. So bringing your saturation up is going to give you a lot more color. Bringing your saturation all the way down is going to make it back to grayscale or somewhere in between. Now, you can adjust your lightness here, which just basically, this works a lot like gamma lightness. And if you bring that to the left, basically it takes your lights, your whites, and makes them a little bit darker. So generally, I leave my lightness at 0. That tends to give me the best results. Generally, I'm just messing with hue and saturation. All right, guys, so we've shown you how to adjust the hue slider and the saturation slider, which will affect all the colors in our image. Now we're going to show you how to nail just one color. Up here where you see the word master, we're going to click there, and we have a nice drop-down box now. Reds, yellows, greens, cyans, blues, and magentas. Well, let's go ahead and click on greens. Now, what this does is it brings up our slider down here that shows you the range you're going to actually affect. So we can see this is in fact going to affect our greens. We've got green on the top is converted to green on the bottom. Now, if I take my hue slider and pull this to the right, you can see the greens in my image are in fact changing. But these aren't the greens that I wanted. I wanted the greens on his skin. You can see I'm changing this, but it's changing these greens up here. I want the greens on his skin. So if you want to target a specific color, just grab this eyedropper right here. Click on this eyedropper, and then we're going to target the color we want. So let's click on that green, and you can see it changes where we're editing in our little slider down here. So clicking on that green there, now I'm going to bring my hue to the left or the right, and you're going to see those are the colors that get affected. So that green is now being changed, and all the other colors like the blue and the brown on the branch there, those are not being changed. Now, if we want to nail that even more specific, let's say I don't want all those colors to change, I just wanted those greens to change. Let's go ahead and undo that, so we'll get it reverted back to normal. We'll choose one of our colors, we'll eyedropper it, there we go, to just that color. And now what I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead and crank up my saturation all the way so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, now I'm going to show you how this slider works. We're going to be able to target just one specific color. All right, so let's look at our slider on the bottom. Basically, we have this color converted into this color. And this is like your feathering on the left and the right. So if I bring these in just a little bit, just like that, as well as my feathering in, there we go. We're just clicking on there and dragging them in from one side to the other. What it's going to do is it's going to affect less of an area. Now I can click inside of here and you can see we're targeting just different areas of our chameleon. Let's go ahead and bring our hue up as well so you can see what that looks like. So now we're targeting just what's inside these particular areas. So you can see what gets brighter and changes hue. There we go. That's the area that's being affected by my hue saturation adjustment layer. All right, so let's go ahead and target the top right there, that orange. We're just going to bring this back to 0 and that back to 0. And now this orange, you can see here, orange, we're going to change it. I'll just change this to something like red. So now it looks like orange to red. And here we can see in our actual image, orange has been changed to red. So that's how we can target specific colors and just change those. All right, guys, so now we've seen how to adjust colors globally and how to target specific colors. Let's show you how to colorize your image next. To colorize this image, I'm gonna grab another adjustment layer and we're gonna go down to hue saturation. So we're just creating another one. Now, instead of going here to the master or any of my colors, the first thing I'm gonna do is click on colorize. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna turn my entire image to the same color. Now, I can choose my saturation here, I can choose my hue as well, but basically my entire image is going to be the exact same color. So this is really handy when you want to change like a red shirt to green, something like that. Notice there's no color variation at all in this image. Let's go ahead and turn that off, and you can do things like change your opacity. Let's say you wanted it to be mostly green, but just a few different shades of green. You could have your colorize feature turned on, and then we've got a lot of different shades of green here because we're turning our opacity down a little bit. All right, guys, so now we've seen how to use the hue saturation adjustment box. You can change global colors, you can target specific colors and just change those, and you can colorize an entire image. Now let's show you how you can paint some colors on your image. Now to paint color, I'm just gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna hit B for my brush tool, and we're gonna choose a color. In this case, I'm gonna choose like a nice, bright, you know what, let's go for something like a bright pinkish red. There we go. Now with my brush tool, I'm gonna start painting here on my chameleon, just in like a pattern that I think might be kind of interesting. Like a little bit of a, there we go, a little bit of a stripe pattern there. Mr. Chameleon never looked so good. All right. Now we can see here, this just looks like regular paint, right? Like if I zoom in, this doesn't look like it's part of the chameleon in any way. It just looks like I grabbed the brush tool in Photoshop and started playing around with the brush tool. That's because we haven't used the right blending mode just yet. Okay, so if we want to color with this color on our chameleon, let's switch our blending mode. We can change our blending mode of our layer from normal down to something like color, which now you can see actually affects the color of our chameleon. And what was just like a pink drawing on our chameleon is now actually affecting his color. We can change it to hue as well, which is going to take all of the original, it's going to take the saturation of the original color and just change the hue. You can even try things like overlay or soft light, which are going to mix the colors. So now we've got the pink mixing with the blue, and there we see we've got a little bit of purple. So using basically just a paintbrush, choosing the color that you want, and then changing your blending mode is a really, really good way to change color in Photoshop, especially if you have an exact specific color that you want something to change to. All right, guys, that's all there is to it, using the hue saturation adjustment box in Photoshop, as well as painting on your own colors. If you like what we're doing here at Phlearn and you want to learn more Photoshop and photography, just click on your screen right now. We got a big subscribe button for you. We send you free Photoshop and photography episodes every single week. And you don't have to do anything but sit there and watch them. That's all that's required of you. Thanks so much, guys. We'll Phlearn you later. Bye, everyone. Who's ready to learn? Who's ready to Phlearn, more like? That was good. Just sit on your sweet little patootie and watch these episodes. Just continue opening your eyes and not changing the channel. I don't even care if you like Photoshop. I still want you to watch. I love making silly faces into the camera. One of my favorite things to do.